Here. Okay. Hello, successionaires, and welcome to the national TV and conference call talk show, The Road to Success. I'm your host, Professor William Murray. And as always, y'all know as always, the God in me greets and blesses the God in you. And you know the show is here for you, is successful because of you. As long as you stay tuned in, you'll get knowledge, information, and help you in your life, your mindset, and your business. Because we teach you how to build and grow. What I'm going to need you to do while you're here, while you're tuned on, constantly hit share. Share this out. Give somebody the blessing of knowing you tuning in, and give them a chance to tune in, because they might not know that this show exists. So you're giving a blessing, and life is going to reward you for giving that blessing. We're going to have a nice little talk and conversation, nice educational thing this evening. I've got a guest this evening, and I'll get into with her in just a moment. But I also need you to subscribe. And I'm growing, y'all. I am definitely growing. And because of you hitting your shares, you're subscribing, and it helps. That's building me and building the show, The Road to Success. So you got to always do what makes you great and the world a better place. And when you share it, you're making the world a better place, and you're giving a blessing to me and my listeners and your friends. I'm having computer problems right now, y'all, so bear with me. I'm having to keep logging in. That's okay. I know the password, so I can log in. The guest this evening, she's always been a blessing to me. From the first time we met, we hit it off. And I just love this little lady. Her husband is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And we hit it off when we met. So, y'all, this evening, we're going to have a good time. We're just going to have a good time talking, speaking, and learning. This evening's show is called From Tragedy to Triumph. That speaks for itself. Tragedy to triumph. This lady I have on, going to bring on to give us some knowledge, some information. And we're going to talk about a few things this evening, y'all. And the lines are always open for you to give questions. And if you're on social media, post something in the feed. I'll see it. It'll pop right up. So when you put something in the feed, I'll see it. And I'll answer your questions. I'll read your feed. I'll let you know that I see that you're there. So I'm saying, come on, y'all. Come on board. Let me tell you about this beautiful lady, Miss Arlene Spann. The award-winning Dr. Arlene Spann is an author, a speaker, and transformational coach. Suffering her own inner turmoil, her mission is to empower others who identifies with their own childhood traumas. Her aim is to help them identify with how to focus, Focus, on themselves to triumph and achieve their highest possible self. She is the founder of Arlene Spann Sweats, Sweats, where she is the focus uologist, sharing with her audience a plethora of transformation topics by way of workshops, speaking engagements, and coaching sessions. Hello there, Dr. Mom. How are we doing
Hi,
today, dear?
I am well, Professor Murray. How are you?
Oh, dear, as great as I'm doing, only way I could do better, baby, is if I were you.
You never stop saying that, do you? You are
Well,
amazing.
I mean, that's cheer me up. That's a smile, make your heart beat just a little bit faster. And I just love telling people that.
Yes,
And they seem to enjoy it, so I enjoy it. You got to make people smile, and that makes you smile.
yes, yes, indeed.
I
Well,
got a question. I got a question for you right now. Then I'll turn the floor over to you.
go right ahead.
What is a focus zoologist?
Thank you for asking that question. A focus uologist is simply what the word says. It's a word that I've coined, meaning that you are going to focus on you. It's all about you. It's all about you knowing who you are. It's all about you looking at your inner self. It's all about you going through your own transformation. It's all about you. So, what I do is bring you back to the attention about you and how you can make yourself a better self than the self that maybe you are right now and help you work towards that person that you would like to become. So, a focus uologist is simply a person who helps you focus on you.
And you know what? Ain't nothing you can do better than to work on yourself.
Exactly.
That gets
Exactly.
you, because when you work on yourself, see, that gives you you're on the road. You got to learn the roadmap to get you there. And as long as you're working on you, you're always working on improvement.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Mr. Murray, may I share a little bit about how I came about that word and how that word came into being? It's not a word that you're going to go into the dictionary and find because I put it together myself. So, may I share
Well,
that?
that's like me. See, I tell him, well, I'm a mindologist, and I hear that.
Exactly.
Well, what is that? Okay, so go ahead and do your thing.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. But is it okay if I tell a little bit of my story first as to how I got to that point?
You got the floor, darling. You got the
Thank you.
floor. And right
Thank you.
now, I'm just a student. Teach
Thank
me,
you.
because
Thank
I
you.
always tell them if you know something, teach us.
Exactly.
If you
Thank you
learn
so much.
something, tell us. So
Exactly.
go
Well,
for it.
once again, I am Dr. Arlene Spann, and I was listening as Mr. Murray was reading, and the reason he is able to say the award winning as a part of it is because of the fact that for so many years I've received various awards and things like that. But even in getting those awards, for whatever reason inside of me, my inner self was like, why are people recognizing me for this? Or I didn't feel so good about myself. And for you who have been around Mr. Murray and you've been around for a while, you know that a part of what he and I would oftentimes talk about, and we'll talk about again tonight, we would talk about health and wellness. And
Yes,
the first time that I was on any show with Mr. Murray, I was talking about the Arlene Spann Sweats weight loss program. Remember that, Mr. Murray?
I do, and
And I,
I still have the film of it,
you're
the
still,
video.
thank you. And in doing so, when we talk about tragedy to triumph, this is the book that I'm talking about. I got to find, you know how you have to find the camera, Mr. Murray?
Yeah,
This
I
is that
understand.
book.
Dear. I'll still be looking.
I had to find the camera. But I didn't always have books. I wasn't always winning awards and things like that. So I want to tell you a little bit about the story that brings me to from the tragedy to the triumph or winning. And this is a story that you haven't even heard, Mr. Murray, because it's something that just recently resurfaced. When I was about 12 years old, I would find myself in a position where a distant family member, a step family member, was put into guardianship per se of transporting me from one family member's home to my home. And this person was a male. And at the time I was 12, and of course, this person is driving. So he is out of high school. So therefore, he was either 17 or 18. But in the process of doing so, Mr. Murray, this person, and let me back up real quick because I need people to know where I'm from. I'm from a little tiny small town in North Carolina called Wise. Now, this is a location where there's no stoplights. And if you blink too fast, you will drive through there and you will totally miss the Wise sign. That's that's
Or
the town.
otherwise, your town is like mine, where the front of the sign says you just entered, and the back of it says you just
You
left.
just exactly. So that's where I was from. And but one thing I want to say that's really great and neat about this town, Mr. Murray, is the fact that this town or the area we call Warren County, one thing that we really had going for us was something called the Warren Record. And that was a newspaper. And in that newspaper, it kept up with things like birthdays and weddings, like other newspapers. But one thing that was very important in this particular newspaper is the fact that it would keep up with the schools and who was on the honor roll and who had perfect attendance. So that was a big deal in our town. And in that particular town, many times I would go and look just to see if my name's going to be in that Warren record. And lo and behold, it would be there. So that's a part of the award winning so that people can understand when you say that, that's a part of the things that transpired as a child. But going backwards once again, the story that I'm going to tell tonight, like I said, I showed you a book, but there was a season in my life where I would be molested by this particular distant family member. And in the process of doing so, what I did not understand until honestly, about 2 weeks ago, Mr. Murray, 2 weeks ago, that this resurfaced from a trigger of being in a meeting with someone talking about what had transpired with them. It brought me back to see that this was something that I had put back and suppressed in my back of my mind, and it was causing a problem that I wasn't aware of. And so once it resurfaced, now I found myself saying, okay, now that I know that this thing is here, I can call this thing what it is. Now I can get over it and overcome. So that put me in the position of saying, okay, you have dealt with child abuse. You have dealt
Yes.
with molestation. You were 12. It's not your fault. It didn't have anything to do with you, but it was this person in their mind. But the thing that was so rewarding for me in the process was that I was able to put in position and in place what you just read about called focus. Because before, Mr. Murray, I would go to coaching sessions with people and they would ask me, what do you want? And I would say clarity. And I would go through other things. It would always be clarity. What do you need? I need clarity. I needed clarity because I myself couldn't focus. And the reason I couldn't focus is because this was in the back of my mind, even though it's hidden, it was causing problems in my health. It was causing problems mentally because I could not just focus. You ask me who I am, I would rather have been in the back during this interview. I wouldn't be doing this interview because around about 2017, another trigger came when someone made a statement to me, Mr. Murray, and I had gained like 5 pounds and it was noticeable. And someone said to me, Arlene, what are you doing? And then they said some other choice words that weren't very nice, but they were my friend. And so, but it took me backwards. And then I started to question, well, why am I doing this? Well, you're not an expert in anything. They're looking for people who are experts. Yes, you wrote a book about your life, but what do you know about telling people about how to eat? And what do you know about this? And so I began to listen to the negativity of the things that were in my mind. And when I did that, Mr. Murray, I lost my focus.
Well, people have a tendency to abuse you without knowing they're abusing you. I'm talking about now, even verbally.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't talking about physical, I'm talking about verbal abuse. And that's just as damaging as physical abuse because it's mental.
Yes.
So that's something you got to learn to handle. And, everyone should talk to somebody.
Yes. I would agree.
Everyone should talk to somebody
I would
because
agree.
you don't know what's eating you until you can talk to someone about a professional about it. So,
Exactly. And and indirectly I was able to talk to a professional because I was on a call and there was a therapist on the call and she gave valuable information that I was able to glean from that information just from that call and the knowledge that I already had that was able to propel me to where I am. So, Mr. Murray, we all know in order to get from point A to point B, we need a what? A vehicle.
yep.
Well, I was driving in a vehicle before, and I'm going to call it a car because that's three letters. And I'm a person of acronyms, right? The vehicle, Mr. Murray, that I was traveling in before, it was a car, but it was a car of confusion. It was a car of annoying. It was a car of rejection because I felt like I was rejecting myself. That was the car that I was driving in. That's a part of the tragedy. But when you're thinking about triumphant, you're thinking about a different vehicle, a different car, a car where you're consistent. The C is what are we doing? We're being consistent, taking consistent action so that we can do what? So that we can yield the possible results that we're looking for. So I went from that negative car, that vehicle, of annoyance, that vehicle where I was confused, that vehicle where I was feeling rejected of my own self. And then I got into a different vehicle. So I went from the hoopty to the Bentley. Okay. From the hoopty to the Bentley. And in doing so, it caused me now to regain my focus.
All right. You know, people, you'd be surprised. Everything that happens to you, yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen to you really. It happens for you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, now that well, I'm in my 70s, and I look back on, I can't really remember my childhood. A lot of it is just not there. And I know I had a good childhood because I used to, I can remember things. We call it the field, but in the woods. I
Mm-hmm.
could go down the woods all day long and be just content, just me and nature. I could go fishing, be down there all day long, just me and nature. And I'm like that now. I love nature and I love to fish. Today I was getting my garden ready. I'm gonna plant either tomorrow or Saturday. So I was working on my garden today. I'm so excited about my garden. I just don't. I'm just like a little kid in a toy store. Cause I've been wanting to plant, and my buddy said, "Man, I planted something a couple weeks ago, and it's coming up already." I said, "Man, you told me I wasn't supposed to plant it after the second frost." He said, "No, some things you can plant." So just like my show Friday, my show coming up is entitled "Making a Backyard Garden." So
Mm.
I'm gonna teach them how to garden. I'm gonna teach them everything I know about gardening, and you'd be surprised how simple it is to garden. But that's my high. Every day I go out and talk to my plants. I water my garden and I talk to them. And the bees, bees will be around your garden. Now, if you got a garden, no need you being afraid of bees. They will never ever attack you. All they want is the pollen. I mean the sweetness out of the plants. Cause
Well,
I've been around like today. I was out there. You just seen all them bees around me. I just talked to them.
you know, Mr. Murray, I grew up, of course, on the farm in North Carolina, so I am totally aware. Now, don't ask me. We've had a garden, but I do not have a green thumb. So don't think that I'm the one with the green thumb. I will kill a plant in a minute. So
You know
I'm not the
why?
green thumb.
I guarantee you, if you talk to me, you will never ever kill another plant because it's so
Okay.
simple. It's a little, you know, like I say, that's like I told you about the road to success. How you got to learn the process. Once you learn the process, everything else is easy.
Yes.
And last year, I ain't got but a little garden. My garden is about five by 20, and I had so much vegetables last year. I was giving them to my neighbor, to my sister-in-law, to my friends. And this year it's going to produce better. I can feel it.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Murray, as we delve into the topic at hand today, the tragedy to triumph,
Yeah.
I'm not the only person that has had um, tragedies to happen. But one of the things I want to say that maybe is different than what others have done is taking those tragedies and turning them into things that are usable, taking those tragedies and saying, okay, what can I do to help someone else? Taking those tragedies and putting them in the format, like we were just talking about, focus. And what I want to share with you is I've had numerous, like many, tragedies, one being the death of my mother and actually being there, you know, seeing what transpired before she died and being there to see that. Another being having a wonderful, amazing niece to come and visit, and then to see that she would visit us, and that would be the last time we would see her over a um, Labor Day weekend. And then there was a tragedy just 2 months to the date after my niece would pass away. My son, my only son, as they say, was involved in a car accident that would leave him paralyzed from the mid chest down, putting both my husband and I into a caregiving state. So we've gone through numerous tragedies. We would have another tragedy where my daughter, she would go on a trip to Aruba. And in doing so, she would go and have a wonderful, she sent me pictures. It was wonderful. It was amazing. The scenery, the sights, and everything that she did. And then she would take a diving trip, and that's her own story, and she tells it, and she tells it well, that she would have go into a submarine dive, and then, to make that long story short, she would come back out and have something known as the bends when she would get on the plane. And that plane that was scheduled to come from Aruba and land here in America had to detour to the Dominican Republic, where my husband and I would have to go and retrieve her from the Dominican Republic and bring her home. So when I speak about tragedy to triumph, I'm saying that for many of us, we have the tragedies, but what do we do about it? Do we just stay stuck? And for a minute, for some things, I was stuck in the back of my mind with that whole childhood thing. I'm not stuck anymore. That was 2 weeks ago. This week,
Yeah.
I don't feel pity for me. Don't say no. I am not stuck anymore, and I'm saying that, Mr. Murray, because I know that there will be people, and they can't have the same. This is my story. I don't expect them to have the same story. I don't expect them to feel the same way that I feel, but this is my story, so I share my story because it's what's applicable to me. So those are various different tragedies. But let me tell you what I did with those tragedies. Just like I shared with this book, the tragedy that happened with my mother is in this book. The tragedy that happened with my son is in this book. the tragedy that happened with my niece. So I took what was considered pain at those moments and turned it into something that's usable. I turned it into something that is readable. I turned it into something that others can glean from. So when you hear me say that I'm more focused now, that I am able to help coach other people, that I am able now, I would like for those persons to see what coaching does. And you talked about this last week, Mr. Murray. What coaching does is allows that person to take a look at themselves and evaluate. It's like, what is it that you want? What do you like to have happen? And I have coaches that are just bring it back, Mr. Murray, just like what you've done for me in the past. These people are bringing me forward. It's like I am now the comeback queen. You hear me?
Well, you know they say what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Exactly.
And learners are leaders. And as long as you look at things as didn't happen, it didn't happen. It wasn't nice, but it didn't happen to you as much as it happened for you. Because look at what you learned from it.
Hmm.
And all
Exactly.
it did is made you stronger, baby. Because I've been knowing you for quite a few years now,
Yes,
and I
sir.
can just see you're just stronger and growing and bigger and better.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir. And Mr. Murray, if I could share uh, just a little bit as well, because I think that, and if any of your listeners are out there and they can identify with anything that was said, if you would have them to put just the number one, I mean, anything, maybe they've gone through a tragedy. It doesn't have to be that they, were molested. It doesn't have to be a car accident. Maybe it was the death of a family member. Maybe it was something. We've had people to lose limbs for my whole entire life. I lived with my mom. My mom had a prosthesis, a artificial leg, the entire time that I was, from the time I was born and recognized. I can This is a funny story. I can remember one time when she said, like, where's my leg? So we had to go see where she had placed her leg. So
yeah,
I mean, but that's what I grew up with. So I'm sure that some of the listeners, Mr. Murray, they've had their own tragedies. But what did you do about it? Do we just,
right.
and I don't mean to make light of it, because even today, Mr. Murray, two friends of mine in another group that I'm in, one, their grandmother died, the other one, their mother died, and we hear these things all the time. But what we can do is take that, turn it around, and what do we do with it? Maybe we write a story about that person's life that turns it around, doesn't it? Maybe we recognize that person and what we did, my husband and I, along with other family members, what we did with the death of the various family members. We started a scholarship fund in their remembrance at our local church. We called it the GPS. And we would give out anywhere from $250 to $500. And how did I do that before? It was with this book. Whatever proceeds, I'm trying to find it, from this particular book, we would use those to help with the scholarship fund. Now, I want to say something about this book. I keep showing it because you can find it on Amazon, but it's
I was
currently
just going to
unavailable.
ask you, if someone wants a copy, how can they get a copy of your
They
book?
would have right now, Mr. Murray, and that's a whole nother tragedy, but that's turning into triumph. But right now, they could send a message to me at they could go on the website. I have several, but the one that they can go on to get this particular book would be beginningwithcompassion.com. That's www.beginningwithcompassion.com. And Mr. Murray, if your listening audience wants a copy, I have some that, if they just go there, I will send it to them. But that's just one book. When you're thinking about tragedy to triumph, Mr. Murray, the other thing is the fact that I looked at my life and I said, okay, that's one thing, but what else can I do? How can I help others? And that's the reason that I put together the focus. Yes, I have the sweats, but I also put together focus. And what does focus stand for? Focus stands for what's happening is we will facilitate what I will do for you is help facilitate you finding your own voice. See, for a long time, my voice was silenced, meaning that that voice wasn't coming out. And when you are facilitating for someone else, you're helping them then to overcome whatever life challenges that they may have. Because they're going to be looking at things from the focus uologist, it's going to be focused on you.
You
So
know,
you're going
Arlene, I
to.
remember what you were talking about earlier when we were.
Hmm.
I was doing. I had all these guests on a seminar, and you came up and spoke. And then after you finished, I came up and hugged you, and you and I got in a conversation, and we kept going and giving us so much more information. And that's sometimes what it takes. Just like I say, people don't realize that the reason you got one mouth and two ears because you're supposed to listen more than you talk. And listen and silent, write it down. Listen and silent are spelled with the same letters.
Yes, they are.
And so, I look at at you and the things I'm going through something now that the public doesn't really know about. I was out on the tennis court and had a terrible accident. I tore up my shoulder, had to get surgery, and I messed up my back, and I can't hardly walk. And I was very active. I was always on the move. I've been an athlete my whole life, and now I'm not letting it get me down. But it's kind of got me because I'm energetic, and now I have to sit around. I can't really walk nowhere. Do nothing. But I'm gonna beat this. I keep saying I'm gonna beat this. So that's
Triumph.
gonna be from like tragedy to triumph. But it wasn't really a tragedy. I was out there playing tennis, and the gate, the fence, I went to grab the fence, and there was a gate and threw me into a metal pole, and I was going full blast. And I didn't. That's why I didn't think I was really gonna be able to walk again. But I'm not getting better, but I'm not getting no worse.
Hmm.
So that's from tragedy to triumph.
To triumph. And that's how, and for the listening audience, I'm going to do this real quick. The focus is that I will facilitate you finding your own voice like I did. Why? So that you can overcome the life challenges that you may face by providing you with the information. So I'll give you information so that you can help you. It's all about you helping you. And then you're going to utilize that information to understand your own stories because all of us, Mr. Murray, have a story.
All of us, all of us. Arlene. That's why my show's open to the public. I tell you, if you want to be a guest on my show, all you got to do is call me 240-619-2019. Because sometimes your story is helping somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 240-619-2019, or just send me an email at TRTS, the road to success, TRTS .info1@gmail.com, and you can be a guest on my show because your story is going to help somebody else somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
who knows, it might help you for you to hear yourself. That's the reason I talk to myself all the time. I tell you, if you hear me talking to myself, I'm having a staff meeting with me.
I like that.
So, so uh, it's come and talk to us, talk to the public, and help them. You helping them whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you have 7 people. I guarantee you somebody's listening and say, "Wow, wow." So now I know that it wasn't a tragedy. All I got to do is turn it into a triumph.
That's it. That's it. Turn it around. Take that thing. And there's something in the as the people say in the good book. What do you have in your hands? And oftentimes we don't look at what we have in our hands. And just like Moses had a staff, you have your voice. You have whatever that tool is, you're going to use that tool so that you're able to focus back on yourself, so that you're, and when I say focus on yourself, I don't mean to the degree that you're arrogant. I don't mean to the degree that you saying me, my foe, and no mo. I don't mean to that degree. What I mean is, and I'm giving an example with my son being in the car accident, of course, like I said, that put my husband and I in the position of caregiver. So, in the position of caregiver, we could have said, okay, now we can do this all ourselves, or be smart about it and get help. And so, what we did was, of course, be smart about it, and we got help. So, there are times when there are things that we don't do that we have an attendant who does do those things. That's taking that which someone else would have seen as a tragedy. It makes you triumphant. Why? Because now it frees you up to do other things that maybe you're able to do. And Mr. Murray, I'm going to go, this is like just a little sidebar off of what we were talking about real quick. But when you're thinking about, you said you're 70, in your 70s, I'm 65. At those ages, many people do find themselves in the position where they need a caregiver. We have
Yeah.
people who suffer from things like Alzheimer's. We have people like yourself. You just said, you hurt yourself. That means that sometimes you might need just a little assistance from the wife, and I know she does not mind. She does not
That's
mind.
one heck of an adjustment because she, she, she just treat. I mean, I call her Mother Hen. 'Cause if she think I gotta move somewhere or I gotta go into another room for something, she's gonna be right there. I said, baby, I'm not an invalid, although she sees me stumbling around and can't hardly walk. And when we out, we might go to the store or something, and she makes me use my cane. I hate
Mm-hmm.
that thing. I
Mm-hmm.
hate that cane.
But that's okay, Mr. Murray, because I know your wife, and I know she will do whatever she can to help and assist you as you go through the transformation that you're going through now. She will help you as you transition and get better. I know that.
And,
But
and
from
the hardest thing is mentally me
yes,
letting her do what I'm used to doing for myself.
exactly.
And I've got a listener that says, yes, thank you both. You are telling your listening audience the truth, like what Dr. Mom is saying.
Exactly. And thank you, listener, for that. Mr. Murray, when I think about being a caregiver, and your audience, you can ask them, we can ask them this question, just who is a caregiver? Because many times things will happen and you will put your, without knowing, you'll what's the word I'm looking for? You'll be put in the position that you are a caregiver. Did you ask for it? No. But it just happened. It could be because of a tragedy that it did happen. But understand that there are various degrees of caregiving, because some people are the hands on. We are hands on as far as a caregiver is concerned. But then there's other caregivers who are the money people. They're like the overseers. They're like the ones that make sure that if a person is in a nursing home, or if they're in a facility or something, they offer up their finances and their revenue so that they're able to assist. They took that thing that would have been deemed a tragedy, and now it's turned triumphant, because everyone cannot do what my husband and I do. They can't. But they can take money out of their pocket, some of them, and pay for services that's needed. Some of them have to pay for the nurses. Some of them have to pay for the CNAs that come in their home. Some of them literally have to pay for the groceries and the tools, or whatever the devices that the family members need. So even in looking at things in that manner, Mr. Murray, you're taking yourself from those things that are deemed tragedies so that now you can triumph over them.
Arlene, now I need financial assistance right now because I can't go out and do what I used to do. I mean, I'm still speaking and teaching, but I can't do it for like I used to. I used to have 3 or 4 hour seminars, and I can't stand for that period of time no more. And so, like for the show, I asked for donations. Uh, I need help, and I say if you can just donate $25 to keep me on the air, just $25 is all it's going to take. If I can get 10 people or 20 people a month to do that, support, and you can do it through Cash App, and it's $W Murray MURRY, $WMURY. You can donate through PayPal at paypal.me/MM Institute. You can do it through the mail at P.O. Box 47438, District Heights, Maryland 20753. You can call here and do it over the phone at 240-619-2019. And that's, we always going to need help sometime. Now, I've been a caregiver twice. When my mother had a stroke, I ended up being a 24-hour nurse for 18 months. And then my mother-in-law ended up with cancer. And so my wife and I had to be her caregiver. So, I mean, you don't never know when it's your turn, when it's your calling. And except for the grace of God, could have been me. Now, I come close to being that way from my accident. I did. I mean, I come very, very close. I'm looking at now how I'm having trouble walking and my balance is so far off, I got to constantly hold on to something. So you never know when it's your turn. As active as I was, because I was like I was like a bumblebee. I was just on buzzing all around, just doing this. Anywhere you go, you like to see me. If you go to the moon, I like to be the one that reach the spaceship. But now, for me to be in the situation I'm in now, this show, I love doing this show because I give out so much information and knowledge. I'm almost a 50-year entrepreneur, and I'm a geek. I love to read, and that's all I do is read and study. I'm writing my 4th book now. So, I mean, you never know. There's always, I told my wife, I said, baby, do me like they did Teddy Pendergrass. Put me in a wheelchair, push me on stage, and put a mic in my face, and I'm good to go. So, I mean, there's ways to do things. You just can't do what you used to do like you used to, but there's still
Exactly.
ways to do things.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Murray, the saying when you're up and you're speaking and you're giving something, and people are always asking the question in the back of their minds, even if they don't say it verbally, they're asking, when I'm giving something to you, what's in it for me? And
Yes, Lord.
they're always wanting to know what's in it for me. I'm not doing anything until I find out what's in it for me. And what I want to say, Mr. Murray, is to your listening audience, if they want to know, I heard you ask them for the donations. I heard you say to them, because of the accident, business as it was before is not necessarily the same. And they're going to
Uh,
be saying to themselves, okay, Mr. Murray, so you're asking, so what's in it for me? And I can remember a couple of weeks ago, you had another guest on, and that guest who was on said to the listening audience, if you do this, then I will do that. And
yep.
so, if you have some listeners out there, if they will donate to you based on what you have shared, what's in it for them is simply this. Then what I will do for them, and Mr. Murray, you would have to keep track of this. I can't keep track of it for you, but you would keep track of who donated to you from tonight's show. It would be from tonight's show. And then I do have a book. I've advertised the book. It's an ebook. What will I do with that book? This book now is a new book called Are you ready to sweat? See, I wrote the other book, and for that season, yes, I was ready. But now this particular book is taking you through, are you ready? And I can send them, Mr. Murray, I would send them the ebook. So they would get a copy of the ebook, but you would have to give that to me to let me know who's helping you, because they're going to want to know, Mr. Murray, what's in it
in it for
for
me.
me. And
Ain't
I
that
want
something?
and I want to be able for them to be able to focus on themselves. And in that particular book, it does help you focus on yourself. It does help you focus on your health. It does let you see there are stories from tragedy to triumph there. So that's something that can be in it for them as they make the decision, as they choose to help and assist you. Is that okay,
Well,
Mr. Murray?
I appreciate that, darling, because fact is, I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. I,
You know
I'm
that's
telling you that. I told you that around your
reciprocal. It comes
husband. Your
right
husband
back.
doesn't say a word. He knows I love you. Cause
Yes,
that's
Mr.
he like my brother.
Well, Mr. Murray, I'm not sure where I am. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't see a clock, but I don't see a clock right now, so I don't
Okay,
know what I'm.
let me give this question out. I mean,
Yes,
ask
sir.
that. Are there anyone out there got any questions or any comments? Lines are open. Just talk to us. Lines are open. Just talk to us. People are. I don't. Well, I can't say a whole lot. I don't do a whole lot of
Well,
fussing.
well, your
But I got
show.
all these
Dr.
people.
Mom,
Yes, yes.
Brother Mary, Dr. Mom, hello, how are you?
Doing fine.
Awesome.
Doing fine, my brother.
Dr. Mom, I had to just pop in momentarily just to say hello. I was there when you was doing you had the diabetes class over at the library. I was part of the group, the class there.
Well, tell
And
us
so
who
I
you are.
know
So
that you were always,
tell us
I'm sorry.
who you are, so she know who you are. Who are
Oh, I
you?
thought she heard me. I'm sorry. Dr. Mom, this is Drew.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was
Go
just
ahead. I can
sharing.
hear you.
Wonderful. I was just sharing. I had to take a moment to say hello and, just share that in knowing you, I was part of the diabetes class that you had,
Yes.
sharing information. So you always been and definitely I'm interested in your book, and I'll be touching bases with you. But just wanted to let you know that I was part of the listening audience and always got my fullest attention and fullest respect.
Awesome. Well, thank
My
you
brother,
so much.
whenever I do a seminar, you're always there. You call into the show. You're a regular person. You're a regular listener, and I appreciate that. And you also gave a nice donation, and I appreciate that, my brother.
Well,
And
I
thank
don't,
you for
I
those
don't,
comments.
I don't give to get. I get because I give, and I'm not a type of person that look for something. It's nice to be able to give, and that's a gift of me. I'm a giver.
And that's a blessing. That is definitely a blessing,
And
no doubt.
and thank you for chiming in tonight. And I do remember us in those classes over at the library. Matter of fact, I had about 3 or 4 people to ask me if those classes will be resuming. And I'm looking into doing that as well. I told you I'm the comeback queen now, Mr. Murray and Drew. I'm coming back. We're going to come back with those classes.
Wonderful.
Arlene, I need you to call and talk to me so we can talk off the air. I got a proposition for you.
Oh, we can talk off the air.
All right.
Are there any other
Lines are open. Somebody talk to us. Lines are open. Hello.
Hello,
Yes.
this is Miss Lee,
Hello, Miss
and
Lee.
I would like to just piggyback on Dr. Mom. Is that the correct name that I'm saying?
Did you
That's
hear
fine.
Arlene?
Dr. Mom, Dr. Arlene Spann, it's all the same. Yes.
Okay, I love what you said about caregivers. As you mentioned, you really don't know when life will put you in that position. It's always say it's an assignment from God for whomever it is for the individual to be their caregiver. And as we live, we don't know. And I really, truly thank you for making that statement, sharing that with us. Because it will, if, as my mom used to tell me, just keep living.
That's
Just
right.
keep living.
Just keep
Thank
living. That's
you.
right.
Thank you. You're so welcome. And your mom was right in what she shared with that because we don't know. Like I said, you have to understand now, my son was the athletes of athletes. I mean, he played, we have his little trophies in the other room in the cabinet. He played basketball. I can remember, and this is a true story. And I know he won't mind me sharing it, but I can remember my son playing basketball one day from sun up until sundown, to the point where I think he had eaten something that didn't just sit right with him. At any rate, we ended up at the hospital. It was hot that particular day. I think he may have gotten heat stroke. We don't know, but it's just the fact that he was an athlete. You know, he played in organized sports in school. You know, he was in the newspaper just from being in the snow playing football. Wasn't an organized game or anything. They were just out in the field playing. You know, and so this was a very athletic person that one day we would get the phone call that he's involved in a car accident. We didn't know it was going to
Mm-hmm.
leave him paralyzed for the rest of his life. He didn't know that himself. But the one thing,
No.
and this would be his story, and he would share this story himself, is like you, Mr. Murray, it's all about the mind.
It's all
And
about the mind.
he's been a part, he's a radio personality, and he talks about mindset, just like you, Mr. Murray. He talks about mindset. It's all about your mind. And he would go around and speak to we have this saying is that we're not the woe it's me family. So you're not going to find us going, woe it's me, woe it's me. So just because the rest of your body is not functioning the way you would have it to function, what do you have left? I have my mouth, I have my voice, I have my mind. So since my mind and everything is still intact, now I can go and share with others. And that's what he did. That's his story. He would go to the schools and share with them. He would be a part of a radio show that he would share with the listening audience about making sure, and he calls it, I think they called it edutainment or something like that.
Yeah,
But that's his story.
edutainment.
But that's his story. He didn't say my legs don't work properly, therefore I can't do anything. He took what he had. That's his tragedy to triumph. So being his mother, of course, yes, I'm a part of it as a caregiver, but that's his story. I can go even a little further when we talk about my daughter who went on that plane, and when the plane was detoured to the Dominican Republic. Her story, a part of it would be the fact that she just most recently, Mr. Murray, and she will tell that story herself, had not one, but two knee replacements. Not one, but two.
And she's
And you
young.
should, and she's young, but a part of her story is when she was on that plane and she seized up. You have to remember there's a limited amount of space on the plane. So if anyone knows anything about seizures and things like that, you know your body is doing all kinds of involuntary things that you are not aware of. And subsequently, as a result of a part of that, that's a part of the reason for that. But that's her story, that she would tell her story. But because she's my daughter, it becomes a part of my story. Why? Because I was put into the position of also being a caregiver for her, a transporter for her, both my husband and I. So you see, but did we let that stop us? No, we didn't. Mr. Murray, this young lady from a wheelchair, my husband would push her in the wheelchair after having not one, but two knee replacement surgeries, and someone asked her to sing. Well, you know, she's the songbird. So what did she do? She got herself into that wheelchair. My
Yeah.
husband pushed her. We put her in the van and we took her to the location where she would be. And this was for the Black History Month. So we are not a family that takes tragedies and just linger in them. We take whatever that thing is and we turn it into something. She gained more students as a result of that. She teaches voice. She gained more places to sing. Matter of fact, the other day we were at a funeral, and from all the way in South Carolina, we got a phone call from someone in South Carolina who said, "Can she sing at a funeral that was held here locally where we live in Maryland?" So you see, we don't just wallow in the tragic things. We take those things and do what everyone say do with them. What? Take the lemon and come on, audience, help me finish this. We're going to take the lemons and turn it
And
into
make
what? We're going to
lemonade.
turn it into lemonade. Someone put that in your chat, Mr. Murray. I can't see it, but they can see it somewhere out there in cyberland and media land. We're going to take our lemons and turn them into what? Lemonade. And that's all that we've done. The same thing that you can do, but it does take the ability to focus. Focus
You
on the
know,
thing you want.
I got a call that says, I'm praying to be a giver. You can be, it don't have to be financially. It could be mental. It's one of my clients too. It could be mental. I mean, look at me. I give stuff mentally. My purpose is to teach you how to build and grow your life, your mindset, and your business. And what people don't realize, we ain't got for 3 minutes. What
Oh,
people don't
okay.
realize is that your life is a business. You ain't got to have you can have a 9 to 5, but that's your life. Your life is still a business. And I try to teach people the mindset of success, the process. Now I know I can't move like I used to, and I got a 4 week class coming up that this organization asked me could I do them a 4 week class. I'm so sure. I can't, I like to pace when I talk. So I'm gonna see how much pacing I can do, but I just want to make sure you have me a chair. So when I get where I get tired, I can sit down. That don't mean I still can't teach. It's just the talent is the talent. I'm still brilliant, and I'm not being conceited. I know I'm brilliant when it comes to teaching you how to build your life, your mindset, and your business. So, uh, Arlene, close us out, dude. We got about 2 minutes.
Yes, Miss. So, Mr. Murray, my aim here today is simply to help the listening audience, anyone who wants to identify with what I call focus, how they can focus on themselves, triumph over whatever they've gone through. Now, I'm a coach, so I'm not a therapist. I'm not when they hear doctor, I am not a therapist. Don't call me to ask me to solve the problem for you. I can't do it. But what I can
That's when
do
they call me.
exactly. But what I can do is help you discover. It's all about you helping you discover what those things are so that you then can turn around and say to yourself that I'm focusing. Look, I've been trying to focus in the middle of this thing all night long talking about focus. I'm going to help you focus how? By way of whatever workshops. And you heard Drew talk about workshops. any speaking engagements, any coaching sessions, how can you reach me? There are numerous ways to reach me. You can reach me by going to sending an email to arlenesweats@gmail.com. That's one way. I have numerous websites that you can go on. You can go to beginningwithcompassion.com. And I'm going to start narrowing these things down, Mr. Murray. You can go to arlenespannsweats.com. And you can even go to the Spann Wellness Academy. .com. So all of those websites are there for various different reasons. But the most important thing, if I could share with you today, is that you would allow yourself to begin to focus on you so that you can be the best possible version of you. How can you do that? Remember, I told you about the vehicle. Get yourself into the car. Get in that car. Be consistent with whatever it is that you're doing, right? Not only do you want to be consistent with what you're doing, but you also, look, I wrote it down and then I lost it, but that's okay.
Make it quick, babe. Make it quick.
But Mr. Murray, that's it. Be consistent, take action so that you can do what? Get the results. Back to you, Mr. Murray.
All right. And you hold on after the show because we can still talk and nobody hears us. You can still see each other and talk after the show. Now,
Yes.
I just had someone want to know how they can get in touch with me. You can call me here at the Institute, Millionaire Mastermind Institute, at 240-619-2019. And I've been asking that they want to know how they could give a donation. Okay. You can do Cash App, $W Murray. That's $W MURRY, or PayPal.me/MM Institute, or P.O. Box 47438, District Heights, Maryland 20753. Or you can call me here at the Institute at 240-619-2019. Yes, darling. I saw you hold your finger up.
Yes, and Mr. Murray, I want to offer something else free. So if there's someone who wants a free 15-minute just discovery coaching session, they can, and someone have to type this out in the chat somewhere, they can send the word, just put the word free, that's all, to 240-354-9174. The word
Do that again.
free. The word
Do that again.
free. 240-354-9174, and we can talk about going from tragedies to triumph, or just whatever. Okay, the word is free, FREE.
I did that. Okay. Well, y'all, it's that time. We were a little bit over, but you know, when it's like I told you, the fastest hour is between 9 and 10 on Tuesdays and Fridays. That's the fastest hour of the week. And like I always tell you, if you push me, I'll pull you. If you pull me, I'll push you. It doesn't matter whether you're pushing or you're pulling. Y'all, we will get there together. I'm going to guarantee I'm going to make you a winner. And truth and fact are undefeated since the beginning of time. That's billions of years. Truth and fact. And the truth is, I love you. And the fact is, ain't nothing you can do about it. So until next time, everyone, God bless. And tune in Friday if you want to learn how to have a backyard garden. I'm going to lay some stuff on you, baby. And when it gets ready, then call and invite me over. I eat a tomato, potato, or something with you. Greens, whatever. Oh, I'm going to tell you, we will have fun Friday, y'all. We will have fun Friday. All right. Until next time, y'all, God bless. And keep working on your road to success. Until next time, God bless.